Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. And yeah, you are in the right place. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare. We do live chat every Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for the first Monday we do on Thursday instead. So, welcome everyone. And sorry, I forgot to plug in my phone. Hope everybody's doing good. We had a warm up to our warm up. We had a warm up this week. Um, so my sugaring for the maple and uh, walnuts have slowed significantly down. I'm leaving the taps in because it's supposed to get cold here in a little bit. I think we might be done. So, anyway, there's gonna be there's a bunch of sap in the freezer. Not as much as I thought I would get, but there's a bunch of sap in the freezer ready to be um, boiled down into syrup. But that's going to be an outside job. I've heard you never do this in your kitchen. Finish it on the stove, but don't do the whole thing on the stove. Um, so, if you missed the tapping video, I won't put a link because you can't link it here. Anyway, I tapped trees. If you look up tap or tapping on my channel, you'll find it. Anyway, so that is what's happening. We're probably coming to a close to that, and then also there is maybe another cold set going in. I don't know. Let's see who was here first. It's always a battle, right? And see what you guys have to say, and then we'll get into it. Steve's here. He said, I'll be back shortly. All right. Welcome, Steve. Steve, you still don't have power, is that right? Thank you for being on here. I hope everything's okay. So Steve's power got knocked out with this big storms, and they're having trouble getting that back on. So, is anybody else affected by the storm still, or is it pretty much done? Is it still going? Like, yeah. Anyway, let me know. Steve is a moderator. He's S.O. Swanson Blue with a little wrench, and Verna is also a moderator. Vay's Place Blue Little Wrench, and Verna's Verna has a YouTube channel. She does lives on Saturday mornings and Wednesday evenings. So check her out. All right, and welcome. And Verna, I saw your purple sweet potato, and you were wearing the appropriate color shirt to taste a purple sweet potato, which is purple. All right. Jacob's here. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Jacob. Verna and Jacob are members of the channel. If you would like to join us, we are going to make flan on Sunday. I have a book right here. After we get off the live, I will be putting the ingredients online. So watch for that. And if you are a member already, make sure you're signed up for the Sow and Tare. What is it? It's Katrina's Kits in parentheses Sow and Tare Facebook group. And that is for members only. And I don't have your emails. So like when you become a member on YouTube, I just have names. I don't have any way to contact you other than, marking a post specifically for members or anything like that. So the Facebook group is a way for me to contact you. And, also to have us kind of do some more behind the scenes type of stuff when in between the Cook With Me lives. In any case, if you'd like to join us, we are making flan on Sunday, and it'll be fun. So, welcome, Jacob. All right. And oh no, Verna has a headache. I hope it gets better. Bruce is here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Bruce. Welcome. You guys are going to get some rain this week. Yep. Have fun with that. Steve says they gave us power for a whole 12 hours. It was nice while it lasted. At least you know the lines work. At least you know the lines work. Oh my goodness. Dawn's here. Welcome, Dawn. Good evening, everyone. I made it for about the next 30 minutes. All right. All right. Well, if Dawn, if you have questions in the next 30 minutes, get them in. um, yeah. So looks like people are rolling in, and oh, back by the way, Verna says, yeah. So this has been, and thank you for the link, Steve. Uh, this has been an interesting little bit. Yesterday, I spent a lot of time in the chicken coop. Um, the chickens have been sharing their meals with rodents. So I needed to address that. And I am almost all the way addressing it. I have one more thing that I was going to do this morning. Didn't happen. I will do it tomorrow. But that is something that I didn't realize how many holes were in the coop. And so I have pretty much all of them done now, except for one of the windows is still chicken wire. I'm replacing it with hardware cloth, half-inch hardware cloth. And then right now on one side, there's like bricks underneath the deep litter. And those bricks are on top of like a rotted piece of wood, which was the base on the edge. And so I need to figure out what I'm doing there because it's literally sitting on the ground, and I kind of just want to cut the posts up a little bit and just pour cement and then replace the bricks on top of it while it's setting. I don't know. Does that seem too redneck to you guys? It's not the right way of doing things, but it is a way that will work. So let me know what you guys think about that. It won't happen for a while. Yeah. All right. And Verna says those purple sweet potatoes have more flavor and slightly sweeter. Awesome. Very good to hear. And Dawn says it was 47 beautiful warm degrees today, and it'll be 60 tomorrow. Just 2 nice days. Maybe the snow will mostly melt. Hopefully it doesn't slush, and then you have like frozen slush. Yeah, that's not fun. Let me bring you guys closer to me. Come closer. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, hopefully it doesn't slush. 30 today at Jacobs, was doing a bunch of outside work. Yeah, it's been warm. It's been warm here. It's been in the 50s. There was a 61, I think, the other day. It's pretty interesting. I like your answer, Steve. Steve says, I'm from redneck country. Nothing is too redneck. You might find something eventually that is. Verna says we only got to 38 and had to deal with the humongous icicles falling. I did see your short on that, Verna. She had ice. How big were those? They were like that, right? Something like that, like that. Anyway, there is some significant icicle foliage. Yeah. Yeah, and the monsters finally fell, and didn't hit anybody. That's the good thing. Uh-oh. We have competition from literal cousin Verna, from Steve. She says, because my town was rated as the most redneck city in Ohio. Who rates these things? Who rates these things? All right. Dawn says, I'm going to work out at the lake tomorrow and Wednesday. I have a couple of workout friends. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so yesterday I was out with the chickens. They did better than I thought. I was going to do this on Saturday, and then I ended up doing several somethings else. Steve, you're getting build videos. You asked for build videos at the beginning of the year. You're getting build videos. So yeah, I did something else on Saturday, and then a couple something else's. And then Sunday I did some stuff in the morning, and then I dealt with the chicken coop. And I was going to shovel out all of the deep litter in there, but then it was like pouring rain, and so I just moved things from the edges and did the indoor work for the uh, rodent proofing. So yeah, yep. Berta says they were about as round as a tree trunk and about 10 feet long. What was? Oh, the icicles. As round as, well, but how big a tree? That's the thing. How big a tree? Trees are this big and trees are this big. Yeah. But I saw them. They were huge. Yeah, and like Dawn says, it's amazing no one was hurt by the icicles for sure. Um, yeah. Well, things are finally starting to get moving here. The I will have an electrician out likely tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow or another day soon, depending on something else that's happening with them. But that's going to be happening, and so I can get some things moving that way. And then I had a tree person come out today. So I now know everything I need to do paperwork wise, how things change taxes, all of that kind of stuff for the area that is going to be turned into a food forest. And I had someone come out and um, evaluate uh, for the yeah, evaluate for how much it will cost to take down trees. And I think I'm just going to have them do all of what I need. So, which is again, just taking out the fir, the Douglas fir, and then around this house. And then there's another house on the property that needs a little bit of clearing. And that way, he has a big chipper. He could chip it all up, and that'll provide really great chips for that, and it'll provide really great chips for like where the rabbits are and all that too. So that's something that I think is going to be. It's not cheap, but we're planning for maybe April. It needs to dry up a little bit up there, but for what we want to do with it. So that's the goal. Things are happening, which is good. So now I can kind of plan around that and around the pricing and around the timing, and make sure I get all the paperwork in order and stuff like that. So that's going to be a really good thing. Because I have all the puzzle pieces to it now, and that's what I didn't have before. So I'll be doing a video sometime soon about the food forest and about kind of all the background of what is needed here. And I was really surprised about all the different agencies you have to notify of things of different like things going on. So it might give people some idea about where to look in their area if they're thinking about doing the same thing, like a similar thing. So yeah, um, that those two things coming together is awesome. Once those two things happen, I can put up a dog fence in the front. I'm not going to put up a fence before that because some things are going to happen in the front yard to bring trees through and all that. So it's it's an interesting process, and yeah, I'm kind of there now. So Steve says I need a big chipper at my new place. Yeah, did you move in, or or is it, I knew it was just land. What's happened since it was just land, Steve? Um, yeah, so they do have like tree chippers where you can trip where you can chip the whole tree. My trees unfortunately are on the small side. They're not going to be able to go be logged somewhere, but they do have a chipper that can chip a whole tree for most of the sizes, and so that's going to be what happens to most of them. I'll have them leave some of the larger logs, but it's going to be chipped, which is good because we don't have duff here. There's no like the ground cover, it goes away because it's just the leaves, and the leaves they only last a season. They fall, they last a season, they get eaten or decompose, and then they go away. So that's something that the ground needs to be covered by some sort of protection. That's typically like old growth Douglas fir forests. have a pretty thick layer of duff, and that protects the roots from everything and moderates the temperature and moderates the moisture as well. So there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with wood chips to give it that kind of, it acts like a sponge. Yeah. Bruce says, we took down one Douglas fir tree a few years ago. It cost 6,000. Yeah. When I was in Gilroy, there were two 80-foot tall incense cedar trees that were planted. Somebody decided to plant incense cedar in Gilroy. That's not at all the appropriate place. It's too dry, too hot. And at some point when they were young, they were topped. And so it was popsicle sticking all the way up on both of them. So much that my neighbor at the time said that whenever there's a windstorm, she would go stay with her parents because it already dropped a limb on her house. So I had those taken down. That cost me $5,000. This is going to be different because there's no structure. There's very little structures involved. There's no complicated structures involved. So in the other case, those two trees, it literally he had to hand down each piece of wood. So he had to tie off what he was cutting, cut it, lay it down, and because there was the house, the screening porch, my garage, my neighbor's shed, and my neighbor's house, and they were right there. So this time around, there's some lines, like some power lines to miss, and there's the houses to miss, but it's much more simplified, and so that's the good thing. So he gave me some a daily, an estimate of number of days and a daily price. So um, that's what we're going with. So anyway, it's moving forward. I feel like it would be nice if we could do it, like next week, but it does make sense to wait until it dries up a little bit. The ground isn't muddy, but it's moist enough that it could be an issue if you're driving, that heavy chipper in there and stuff. So yeah. So yeah, Bruce, it's going to it's going to cost more where you are than here, period. And two, here there isn't really that many things to avoid. There's clear shots, you don't have to land it here. You can land it anywhere over here. So yeah, Verna, it can get pretty interesting in the cities and stuff, the prices. Don says, what do you need a dog fence for? Did you get a dog? Not until there's a dog fence. I'm going to be fencing the front yard, and also there's already some fence here. It now has some holes in it from different projects, but I'm going to be extending that outward some, and it'll be kind of two reasons. One, it'll be a more defined defensible space for fire, and then I do want to get a dog, and that it's kind of like the same thing with quail. We talk about quail or rabbits or whatever. Well, rabbits, hatch, but for like quail or chickens, you really, really want your infrastructure there before you put your eggs in the incubator, because otherwise you only have a couple weeks and it won't be ready by then, right? So I am waiting until I'm ready for that. So yeah, so that'll come after that. And it also is a little bit more of a deterrent to have a fence in the front for people that shouldn't come to my door to come to my door. So yeah. All right. Steve says, I guess I should get some goats. And Verna says to talk to Jasmine. I say talk to Erica. She's closer. Yeah. So Steve, what is you answered my question. Let me go up. There is a house garage on the property. We're clearing brush around it. Then we'll get inside to start some work there. Oh, so it's overgrown. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you had to get rid of all the slabs. Um, Bruce says that. So yeah, so these like big but the tree cookies that were the ones that were taken down at my old place, they were like this big. I don't know if you can see. They're bigger than the screen. They were huge trees. It's just they were so ill kept, and there's not the state, they're not the right species for the area, and it shaded out the whole yard. I would never have been able to grow what I could grow and did grow there with that much shade. It shaded the whole entire yard. So with this, it will open up. Then they're only going to remove the Douglas firs as far as the food forest area. So that those are the ones that get tall and shade out everything and grow really fast. So yeah. Um, yeah, Vernus, not to take the neighbor's dog off property. I did adjust the gate. There's a video on that. So I did adjust the gate so that she can't get in that way anymore because I took her home again. And I realized when I was doing that I do have a hole in the fence elsewhere. I don't know if she knows about it or not, but she being the dog, but I do need to fix that at some point. So anyway, but I do know the place where this dog is accessing, she shouldn't be able to access it anymore. Whether or not she knows about the other places she can access, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to get people to come and take things for free when, so going back to Bruce's point, when they're so heavy that people can't move them. Yeah. Yeah, Erica has goats. She's not that far from you, Steve, is she? She's like a few hours. She's in Arkansas. Steve's in Mississippi. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story there. Things are moving forward, is what that means. I also have a round number, kind of estimated number, that I can play with for that, so that I can actually start some other projects. Because I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I didn't know if the mills were going to be. I didn't know if they would accept those trees for milled wood. There is someone in town that does like firewood and stuff, but in general, it's best to keep vegetation matter on site because it renutrifies the soil. So having wood chips, one, will cover the earth. It'll have better water control in that area. Right now, none of that area, like that area, is pretty stable. It doesn't run off. There's no gullying or anything like that. And it also, I think it regulates the water pretty well. But this will do an even better job if you have some chips on the surface. It will also feed the microbes. They'll get booming. It'll feed the mycorrhizae. This guy actually knew what that word meant. The other guy who came out before didn't. So this guy actually understands what my goal is, which is nice. And so all of that will be started, kind of getting going. And then I will be planting. So I do need to start sourcing things, because my goal will be to start planting this fall or winter or spring, this coming a year. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to, and I actually want to spend some time searching for some cool things. And I probably should at some point take a trip up to Oregon State University. They do a whole bunch of ag stuff up there, and I need to make some connections. So if anybody knows anybody up at Oregon State University who is ag connected, let me know, because I'm really interested in learning more about that. I know they have, so like Keith, a lot of you guys met Keith at QuailCon. His elderberry that he grew and named Remembrance, I think. It's a sample of that is over there, and they're growing it there too. So like they have a lot of different things there. Now this area is known for filberts, which is the same thing as a hazelnut. And hazelnuts are actually growing here natively. They're not big or productive. They're small and good, but they're not like what people want to plant. But there are different varieties of that. There's different varieties of a whole bunch of things. So I do need to make some connections over there. Any other places in Oregon that you guys know about, let me know. There where I should make some connections for good food plants. It doesn't have to be fruit because a food forest has more than just fruit. But yeah, for sure, if you guys know of anybody who I should be linked up with, send me the information, and I'll get on that. But that's my goal right now. Now that I know that he thinks he can cut everything in a week, I'm gonna say in my mind plan for a week and a half, but he says a week. Then I kind of have I know what amount of money I have to put towards that, which means I actually can move ahead on some other things, I think. So I have to do the numbers still. Again, he just came today, so I have to do numbers still on some other things, but I think this is the year of getting things done. Everybody cross your fingers. All right. Um Bruce says, it took me 3 months to get rid of all of the slabs. I was breaking them down to firewood almost every day. You got buff, huh? You should have that as a gym. I have said this for a long time. People should have farm gyms. You're turning a compost. Well, your compost is over here, and your compost is over here. Wheelbarrow it. Wheelbarrow it. Make it tougher so that they do that. Wheelbarrow is a good workout. Except I live on a hill now, and wheelbarrows suck. Wheelbarrows are not built for hills. Let me tell you. My cart works great, but wheelbarrows, when you go up a hill on a wheelbarrow, the little thing that goes around the wheel goes dunk. And so you have to hold it so low that is really bad on your body. So I'm a very good advocate for carts on hill slopes. All right. Yeah, it gave you a good workout, Bruce. Brenna says. Huge project. Yeah, gave it away for free. Exactly. Ooh, Bruce says, I used to have many friends at OSU in ag, but that was 50 years ago. Maybe they still know people? Yeah. I have some connections through the California Rare Fruit Growers, so that will be on my schedule next winter is to go to some of the scion exchanges. I know I can get things like mulberry and figs that you can grow from cutting. And so I want to do that. I really want to do it this year. I really wanted it to do it last year. But it makes sense to do it after I have some irrigation put in. The other thing I need to think about, which I wasn't thinking about originally, it would be a good idea to have water tanks up higher than that, so that I can, in the winter time, fill it with water from the well so that the well can keep filling, and then use that in the summertime. So I don't know. I have to think about that kind of system, but that makes sense to me because it's a flow through well, which I still don't know exactly what that is because I haven't looked it up yet. Why haven't I looked it up? I don't know. But I do know that it expels water. Um, it's a shallow well. So that makes sense to me to do that. And then also it makes sense to me to do some things on the upper house to catch water. Um, but that is stuff I need to think about in the future. So I'm kind of getting this to-do list kind of time corrected in my head right now, like literally right now. Yeah. All right. So yeah, those are some things that are going to be coming up. I need to get in contact with a geothermal person. Uh, I looked up some numbers to call, and there's also, I know there's a map that exists for Oregon for geothermal wells. That's not what I'm looking at doing, but I found that very interesting that there is a map of geothermal wells, which is the same idea as putting the tubes into the ground and out, and so that the temperature gets regulated, but instead of horizontal, it's vertical. So I thought that was interesting. I did find out that my area, the rock is the Jurassic period. So go dinosaurs. Um, yeah. Yep. Budgeting can be interesting. Exactly. But now I have a rough guesstimate. I have a range that I can work with for budgeting. So yeah. So thank you, Steve. Bruce says, "Way to go, Katrina, on making this year the year to get chit done." Yep, lots of chit chat. Verna says, "Harder to find numbers nowadays. I remember when you could use yellow pages instead of typing on the computer." So the thing is that there's different places where a geothermal person may be. USGS is where I was going to start, and actually, I took a picture. On here because I was looking at things on my phone. I don't like doing research on my phone, but I was like in bed not sleeping, so I did this. But I took like a screenshot. What was this thing called? Soil temperature regime for the North Pacific Landscape Conservation Cooperative. And so like that part of Oregon is what it's for. And then I am in the dark green, mesic, which means wet. But this is just like, it just is like the upper levels. So anyway, there's an interesting searching going on there. Okay, how deep is my frost line? Water lines are 24 inches down, so it's not that deep. And so that, to me, that, so there is a, for geothermal here, because I don't have like a venting steam volcano. Bruce says, "I'm moving closer to you near the Avenue of the Giants." Wait, are you actually moving? I don't know what the Avenue of the Giants is, but are you actually moving? Cool. Um, so as far as I understand it, there's the frost line, which is what you want all your water pipes below. You don't want anything moving, freezing and stuff like that. And you want it well below. So I'm not sure how much lower the pipes have to be than the frost line. Like, I don't know if it's like frost line here, pipes here, or like 6 inches down, or whatever. You're moving this month. Awesome. I don't know where the Avenue of the Giants is, but I should look that up. Good luck. Awesome. I just looked it up. Where did you guys go? There you are. That does not help me at all. Garberville-ish? Yeah. That makes me, you know what that makes me picture? Because I've never heard of that town. I understand it's a town. It makes me picture the Gerber baby, but a villain. Anybody else get that out of Garber Village? Well, congratulations. I hope you like it there, and it'll be good. It'll be good. from the tools to the deep tools. Yep. So thank you, Verna. Avenue of the Giants. I'd heard of it once I saw what it was. I heard of it, but I haven't been there. It's in Northern California, through Humboldt Redwood State Park. Yeah. So Humboldt is up. Yes, Humboldt is up near where the intersection of, not to scare you away, intersection of the Cascadia, San Andreas, and then the one that goes out into the ocean that I never remember the name of. Those three faults are off the shore of Arcadia. Anyway, well, I hope you have a good move and that it goes well and that it is the place that you want and all of that. You love the area. That is good. Good, good. I am glad. Yeah, so as I understand it, the frost line is where it freezes down in the soil, and some places you're going to have, it's called frost heaving, which means that things get moved down or up, based on the freezing and thawing of the ground. I haven't really heard about that here, but I'm sure it happens here. It happens in Central Oregon where I grew up. Um, and there's that, and then there is, below that, it's not freezing, but there's a depth at which the temperature is, doesn't change in the summer and the winter. So that's the depth that I want to figure out what it is, and then where I'm going to put this structure that requires this, that I'm requiring it to have. It doesn't require, it's just my requirements. It's going to be on a slope. So does this have to go down this much, or can we just take the dirt from here and move it over there? And I don't know. Anyway, that is something I don't know. But there was an organization that came up when I was researching that, and apparently I didn't take a picture of that part. But I need to look that up so I can figure out what the organization is, because it really sounded like they're the ones that know things. But where I would start other than that is USGS, which is the United States Geological Survey, because they're the rock people. And then, of course, you can go to BLM from there. They might know that kind of stuff, because BLM is Bureau of Land Management, and they are they hold a lot of public land here. I'm neighbors with them to the back of my property. And they do a lot of so BLM has wildlands, they have lands that are multi-use, they have lands that are, rented out for cattle, or rented out for oil, or rented out for mining. Like they have these multi-use layers, whereas like the Forest Service is usually like logging or hiking, and that's it. Whereas the BLM has more intricacy, and so they might have someone knowledgeable in geothermal. And I did already make a connection with a person in my area on that. So anyway, so I'm looking for things. So that's going to be on my list pretty soon, and then also looking into a mycologist. I'm going to look for places at universities first, see if there's a professor that does mushrooms, not does mushrooms, no, who knows about mushrooms. Because when these trees come down, I would like to seed them. What do you call it? Seed them, spore them, inoculate. That's probably the right word. And I would like to inoculate the stumps with some sort of edible, yummy mushroom, because why not? I got to get your 7 layers of food forest in there. And that's the one way to do it. So, yeah. Anyway, so lots of things coming up, and that's something that I now have a somewhat cost of, and then the other things will follow. So I think we're on our way to doing some good things this year, and hopefully that'll be good. And I have a goal of making some connections with some plant people and mycology people and geothermal person. So yeah. Anyway, that's my plan for the year. What's your plan for the year? The first litter of bunnies that to go out to pasture, they turn 12 weeks at the end of this week. So I may or may not process them right away. I have plans this weekend, and so it might not be until the beginning of next week, but it's looking like the food conversion um, is a whole lot better. It saves a whole lot more feed than I thought it was going to. I am going to, when Penne and Risotto have their litters, I am going to recalculate that one because I didn't actually write things down, so it was up here. That's silly, right? And then we lost the one rabbit that I had to put down, um, and go from there. Like I can somewhat calculate out what that change might have been. But I hoping I'll get one all the way through, but it definitely saves a lot of money to do that. And then as the pasture gets older, because right now the grass is growing slower, and also when I add things like clover and stuff like that to it, then it'll be really good and more nutritive. So yes, Verna, I am going to weigh them. Um, I am going to weigh them. I have to figure out how that happens because I know they have less fat on them when you process them when they've been on the pasture. They do have less fat, but it is really I mean they're still good size. It's not like they're starving. And they always have pellets. So yeah, but they love the grass, and you don't have to water them as much, at least right now, because grass is full of water. Um, so yeah, I'm feeding them. So at this point in the hutches, if you were to have them in the hutches, you would be feeding them twice a day at least. They would have their feeders full up twice a day. And now it's once a day, but there's still some in there. So it's like sometimes once a day. But yeah, when I weigh them, I won't be able to tell the difference between two litters because there's two litters in one hutch right now. But I will weigh them and kind of get an average of what they are because I haven't done that yet when I'm here. So yeah, it'll be good. Howie's here. Welcome to Food Forest Permaculture. You just missed my whole to-do list for the year. I hope you're doing good, Howie. He says, "Good evening, Katrina and fellow Earthlings. Welcome." Um, Verna says, "Are you going to weigh actual weight and then the dressed weight?" I have not really. I think I did that a few times when I was putting the weight on the bag. So I haven't done that in the past because for me it doesn't matter, and for whoever's buying it, I don't do a per pound. I do a per rabbit price. Um, and so I can try doing that. And so, are you saying weigh it individually, and then how much does it lose, or are you just saying make a list? Because I'm not going to do it individually because I'll just weigh them all alive and then all after they've been processed. But then the other question is, so you process it and it's going to be a certain weight, and then I have it in ice water for 5 to 7 days to let the rigor mortis out, and then it also leaches out more blood. And I swap that water every day, and so that is it will intake water at that point. So it will then weigh more than it did when it first I don't know if it weigh more, if it just takes in enough. I don't know if it replaces the blood or what, but there will be a weight change. And I know when I thaw them, there is water that comes out of it, from the freezer. There's water that comes out of it into the bag when it's thawing. So that water comes out again. So I think I'll definitely do live weight, and I can do for me, it would work best like when I'm bagging it, just bag it and then put on the scale, because that's how I operate. So yeah, if that's good enough for you, Verna, that's good enough for me. But I do want to get a kind of a weight. They look a little smaller than I'm used to now, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. So, because it's been a season since I processed. Well, not a whole season, but yeah. So yeah, if you guys missed it, I am doing a lot of videos on the building the rabbit tractors right now. If you're building a chicken tractor, it's going to be something very similar. You can make it taller. You can do different things. You can do a hoop on the top, whatever. But it's basically, if you don't, if you think you don't have carpentry skills, it's worth the watch, because I do go into detail on there. I go into detail about why I pick the wood I pick, what you're looking for, how to do a pilot hole. I go through some of the basic stuff with the intention that people are watching it that might not know what the heck they're doing. And so this is for those people. Now I will have a video after that, which is basically a culmination of them kind of shrunk together with lots of fast forwarding, just to show the process. And that won't have all that instructional stuff in it. For the people that just is like, I just want to slap this together, tell me how to do it. And that's good. And there's people that learn both ways. And uh, I always like to have the details there, because sometimes people don't like sometimes people will watch a video and go, oh, I didn't know about that step. That's going to save me so much time. Or, oh, well, that's why that didn't work. Let me try it this way. So there's some good tips and tricks in there. And sometimes it's a balancing act. So yeah, I have that. And then this tomorrow's video is going to be that potage bonvolé, that soup that I made and canned. So that's going to be tomorrow's video. Then it'll be another build video, rabbit tractor build video Thursday. And then next Monday, I actually will be on the Urban Gardeners channel again. It's going to be a pre-recorded thing, but I have a 9-minute segment on there once a month. And so it's going to be a grow what you eat segment. So that should go right before we go on the live. So theirs goes from 5 to 7, where we goes from 6 to 8 usually. And so that will be in there. So if you're curious, I'll be posting stuff in the Facebook group here. Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group. If you are not already signed up for that, sign up for that, and you get postings like that. We can, you have things to share after the homesteading related things to share after the live and stuff. You can post there. I know Desiree posted some stuff about one of her chicks on there recently. It's pretty cool. So yeah. And then eventually you guys will see the actual dog fence, anti access fence build, and the chicken coop build video. It's not building a chicken coop, it's filling in holes, gaps, and stuff like that. But we're doing all sorts of build videos. So Steve, you're getting your wish. Anyway, so yeah, lots of rabbit stuff going on. The taps for the maple and the walnut are just there's hardly anything coming out now. So it's supposed to get cold again soon, I think. I think it is. Let me just check real quick. Let's see. Daily. It's supposed to be 39 on Wednesday. Oh, it's supposed to be 40 tonight. So it's probably going to get down to freezing tonight. Why I say that 40 is not freezing, 32 is freezing, but yeah, that's definitely the weather on the app and the weather in real life are different. So we are going to go get colder. Looks like it's going to get down into 39 on Wednesday, then down to the 30s with lots of rain. So rain and snow. Awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it in through that time, and then we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Anyway, um, the reason why I'm saying that is because with sap flows when the weather is below freezing at night and above freezing in the daytime. And we've had several nights of not being below freezing at night. So I'll let it go through that. And then I guess we just take the tap out. Anybody know how to conclude this? I probably should find that out soon. I've seen people shove dowels in it, but then I've also heard people don't do that. Like you're not supposed to. So I don't know. Anyway, Verna says you can also use the same for quail tractors too. For quail, I would do taller because if you do it at the same height as this, that's in that danger zone of them breaking their neck if they choose to fly. But for sure, do a hoop one. That'd be good. Yeah. But yeah, you can do for lots of different things. No, basically, I mean, I think the basic knowledge and the like tips and tricks part is going to be valuable to some people. I just hope that people see their value. Sometimes people are like, "Why is it so simple? Why are you telling us simple things?" Because some people don't know these things. Yeah. And if you have tips and tricks that I don't talk about, go ahead and share them on the video. Um, and in the comments, and people can look through the comments and see that. So I'm totally in support of that. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys aren't talking very much tonight. Steve's probably conserving his energy. Uh, yeah. So something with the rabbits. I think this next batch that's going to go out, I do need to make one more tractor. Um, only so when I process later this week or next week, that will be um one tractor becoming available, and I'm going to need two tractors to become available. So oh, Bruce is tuckered out from packing. I understand that. What a frantic time, right? Oh, I wish you peace and luck. You enjoying listening to me? Thank you, Verna. So I just forgot what I was talking about. I saw tuckered and I'm like, oh, that one's tuckered. What was I saying? Oh, the hutches. So I do need to build another one in the next couple weeks. I did get a lot of wood at Home Depot. I actually found a lot of it that was fairly decent, which is so surprising. And so that is on the list to do. And the thing about that is when those two litters, which is going to be Ravioli and Rigatoni's litters, when those two litters go to the tractors, I'm going to put them in the lower part of the pasture, not the hay field, but the lower part of the pasture. And that should be pretty good. That should be really, really well, it's somewhat flat in most of the places. It's draggable, I guess. But they haven't been in the area that I'm going to put them in yet. So at that point, we'll have the mini tractor and a regular tractor up top still. And then down below, like where the walnut trees are, that's the level. And uh, so, yeah, that's where I'm going to put them. And it has a little bit, I think, better grass. I don't know the differences between the grasses nutritionally, but I feel like it's better grass. It's not just avena, not just wild oats. So we'll see how they do there, and try and munch down some of that brown stuff. And litters after that, I'm kind of thinking maybe go out into the hayfield. Um, that's what really needs to be chowed down on. There may be an animal coming here, a couple animals coming here that my neighbor may lease the area. They will help, but I need I need something to actually chow down on these things. So yeah. Anyway, that's just plans, plans, plans. Steve says when you remove the taps, leave them alone. The tree will heal itself. Filling the holes can cause more harm. That makes sense. I mean, it is basically like them making a scab. Yeah. Steve says I don't have to conserve. I'm 70 miles north of home to live a modern life with electricity. Yeah, after I saw what you put in the group thing, I was like, well, Steve won't be there. But I forgot you did go north. Yeah. Um, Steve, I want to hear more about your property. That sounds awesome. But I mean, it does sound interesting that you have to basically mow to get to the house. So hopefully, once you get there, it's intact and has a really good. Um, yeah, hopefully it's good. Yeah, so Steve says at least if your hay field goes to seed, it'll reseed and make more hay. What's out there is mostly some sort of bunch grass that I think is a perennial anyway. So it doesn't die back every year. The stuff up top here on the pasture, um, the wild oats do die back every year. So I know there's wild oats, there's ripgut, which it's not ripgut, it's some other type of brome. When it starts seeding, I am going to take those seeds, as many as I can, and take them and put them in a plastic bag and in the trash because I don't even want to try and burn it. Um, I don't know that things eat the seeds. The rabbits will eat the grass just fine, but I just don't like getting those things in my socks. And I know that it's only a certain areas that have it, so I'm going to try and get to those seeds. But for the the main part of the pasture, it it does have like along the hill, like going towards the where the hill goes down. It does have some more bunch grass. I just think it needs more diversity and more protein rich grasses. So that's my goal. I also want to plant. I know we said this so many times. I have it written down somewhere. That plant from New Zealand uh, or Australia or whatever that is a high productive plant, and I also want to plant willow. Both of those things along the fence line of the hayfield because that area does stay moist, and that area did flood and not even flood. It was another channel last year. I don't think it counts as a wetland, like legal wise. I think it just like overflowed. But yeah, so that's something that I'm definitely going to be doing um, at some point. And I'm thinking when I start reaching out to some of these more, you know, food forest type people, I might come upon people that have that I can source things from. So If in this next year you start seeing my house filled with plants because I don't have a place to put them yet, you'll know what's going on. Except for Bowtie, who just walked into the conversation. You don't know anything of what's going on now. I got a whole story. Hi, Bowtie. Welcome. Triple G, greetings, global gardeners. What have we here? We have a Bowtie. Welcome, Bowtie. We are talking about what? You're about to get overrun with plants? Yes, with plants. Yes. Um, hi, Bowtie. Yeah. So I now have a approximate range cost of getting the trees removed and chipped um, for the food forest area. I know what I need to do paperwork wise for that area, and I know some other things. And so I now have a timing of I will likely be planting the food forest area in the fall through winter or next early spring. So that's my main planting time is going to be that, and that is going to be a really good thing to do. So yeah, that's my timing. So I need to make connections with people that I can source plants from for that, which is good. All right. Uh, with party seekers. Oh, Enoch just kicked everyone out. I was gonna be on there, and then I actually laid down. I was like, "Oh, what time is it? Oh, well, maybe it's time I should get ready for my live." I needed to rest. Yeah. Uh, so the Urban Gardener channel is what Bowtie is talking about. Enoch is the host on that, and I will have a segment next Monday on there. So I'll be in the live chat of that one before we switch over to this live chat. So they'll continue without me for an hour while we go over here. So yeah. Ooh, Mrs. Bowtie and Mr. Bowtie working on a project. Cool. Fall is a good time to plant as long as the water's right. And so that's the kind of thing, like, is the water right? Are the conditions right and all that? So yeah. Bruce says comfrey and borage would grow great in your area, good for pollinators and your current and future animals. Absolutely. So borage is something that I have grown before. My old neighbor gifted me a borage plant from her yard. I planted it in a corner of my yard, and it took over the world. I have dried borage still that is I use it in different ways. So borage is a flower. It's known for the flower. It's known for the flower that tastes like cucumber. That's a purplish or bluish or pinkish, a little bit of white in there sometimes flower. And it's culinarily cool to have, flowers in your salad and flowers and ice cubes that float in drinks and stuff like this. What a lot of people don't know about borage, and I will be having uh, one of my segments on the Urban Gardener, not this coming month, but some other time. We'll use this. I do already have a video if you want to look at it. Using borage, the leaf. You can eat the leaf young. When they get older, they're a little bit more spikely. But if you dehydrate it, then it tastes the same. And you can use that in place of cucumber. So it grows when cucumber might not be growing. And you can use it in place of cucumber for a lot of recipes, including ziti sauce. So if either Steve or Verna would like to figure out how to spell ziti sauce, you can look it up. Actually, borage is probably the easier thing to look up. But I already have a video out for that where I did it with dried borage and dried chocolate mint, and so that was a good experience and good things. So that is borage. I'm definitely into. Nasturtium, I would like to grow nasturtium. I'm not sure how well it will grow here because it definitely can't frost and freeze. And here, that happens later in the year. So I have to figure out how that'll work. I would love to have just a forest floor of nasturtium because it's so tasty and pretty and all that. But yeah, the bees absolutely love borage. I'll be getting bees this spring as well. And then the comfrey, the rabbits love comfrey. Rabbits love comfrey. Chickens love comfrey. Quail love comfrey. Like all animals love comfrey. Um, and so I will be planting comfrey. Actually, my neighbor and I were just talking about that. Someone gifted her some comfrey, and she didn't know if it was the kind that seeded or not. And I kind of gone back and forth. I kind of think planting the non-seeded one. Someone tell me, is it Bocking 14 or 19? I don't remember the number, but it's Bocking something. Um, thank you, Steve. And it is that is a variety of comfrey that doesn't self-seed. So it'll have flowers. That's what I had in Gilroy. So it has little purple flowers that hang like a bell. And it's a really, really, really good forage plant for your, far as I know, all animals. We're not supposed to have it internally, but I'm not sure why. It's also medicinal. The other name is bone knit, so it's a healing plant. You can make a salve out of it, and it'll heal up things. And or not a salve. You can do a salve too, but a poultice is what I was trying to say. And so it's a really good plant. So I have to decide: do I want the one that seeds itself and potentially have it take over the world? Because I don't want it to take over the world, but I do want to have a lot of it. Or do I want to have the one that is not that does not self-seed, but it does the root cutting. It just needs like a little piece of root. That's all it needs to start a new plant. And you just have take a root cutting and move it and put it exactly where you want. So I haven't really figured that out yet. I think I need to feel out if other people have the one that okay, Balking 14. Thank you, Bruce. I couldn't remember what number it was. Thank you. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to do. The other thing that comfrey does is it is what is called a dynamic accumulator. Daikon radish is also a dynamic accumulator. There's other plants that are like this as well, but those are the two plants that I know about that are useful plants that do this. And what that is it has quite the root on it. The roots go down, they get the nutrients that other plants can't reach. By other plants, I mean like garden plants, sometimes fruit plants. Um, and it goes down and it gets the nutrients down in the soil and it brings it up into the leaves. The leaves are nice and yummy and tasty. They get eaten by the animals or they just die from the outside and then put those nutrients onto the surface of the soil. You can chop and drop them, which means you just take literally chop and drop. You take the leaf, you chop it, and you drop it. And then what that does is as that decomposes, it also releases whatever it took from down below the Earth's surface, the nutrients up there, and relays it onto the surface of the Earth. So daikon radish is another one that is used for that. These are both plants that are used for restoration. So daikon radish will be used for restoration of compacted soil. And there's other plants that do that too. But it's an interesting thing to have a plant that does all of those and your animals are going to eat too. So yeah, I don't know. I went off on a tangent. I did. Sorry or you're welcome. Let's see what people say. Yeah, tzatziki. Steve spelled it how it's supposed to be spelled later on. Bow tie. Shawnee's here. Welcome, Shawnee. Let your hair down, huh? Awesome. Good evening. Good evening, Shawnee. All right. So Verna has stats for borage. Oh, and the other thing is if you dry it at 95 or less, then you keep pretty much the nutrients that are in the the borage leaves. So it's going to be fairly close, right? Raw borage leaves contain approximately 1.6 gram to 1.8 gram protein per 100 gram serving, while low in calories. This leafy green is a nutritious leafy green offering a respectable protein to calorie ratio alongside high amounts of vitamin C, potassium, and calcium. Yeah, plus the bees freaking go crazy for it. And yeah, that is for sure the truth. So yeah, I think it's great. The only thing I would caution people about is if you like to wear shorts, um they are a little prickly. They're not prickly like thorns, but they're kind of prickly like stinging needle, stinging nettle without the sting. Is that somebody that has had borage confirm that for me? Like it's just like, oh, I really don't want to touch that like that. Maybe not quite that bad, but once it's dried, it kind of goes away. Yeah, but walking through it with shorts is not a great idea. I do have those. I haven't worn them in a while. I do have those the farmers defense sleeves, and they do well with that. Um, so yeah, they'll be good. Okay, let's see. Borage. Verna says borage would be good for the rabbits too. Yep, yep. Okay, Steve. Ziki sauce is TZATZIKI sauce. Awesome. Buck, buck, buck. The one that chickens like. Yes. Yep. You can still propagate blocking 14 by breaking up the roots. You can. My dilemma isn't about that. It's about potentially seeding the world where I don't maybe want to seed the world. So yeah, that's the question. Yeah. Um Bowtie says my comfrey has not spread by seed yet. I don't know what kind it is. It came with our house. I have done the root cutting thing. Yeah, if you've been there a while and it hasn't seeded, it's probably the Bocking 14. Yeah. Which is usually what people plant. Comfrey leaves are great for chop and drop, mulching, composting, tea, you name it. Absolutely. So people use it for compost tea as well. I think it might be an activator for compost as well. I know yarrow is, which I have native here. I think comfrey might be another one that activates compost. So like it will start the composting process, go faster. Yeah. Um Adam's here. Welcome, Adam. If you want the Blocking 14 comfrey, hit me up on one of your trips down here. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, how is everything looking? um no, I definitely want comfrey. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen, Adam. Uh yeah. I definitely want comfrey, and I don't know when the right time is. I've started it before and I just don't remember when the right time is to start it. If it's now or if it's later or what. But I know you can keep comfrey in a container for a while too. And I can also put it other places. I want to have a kind of an area or maybe several areas like in the pasture hayfield region where some of these high protein, because that's the other thing is it's high protein. Some of these high protein plants, I can just go and be like chop, 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 chop. Okay, here's for the rabbits, and be able to do that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Awesome, thank you, Adam. Um, no refunds on tangent trips. Steve says. Oh my goodness. Uh, Party seeker number 2, Adam. Bowtie is like, we're doing a party crasher. That's fine. Saunters in from the cold, abandoned by. Did he literally kick you guys out? You tell everybody come here. Oh my gosh. Verna didn't notice. What was I talking about? Oh, the pokiness. It's not like stinging nettle, like it doesn't sting, but it definitely has like you don't want to grab hold of a mature leaf, like just grab it. I don't know. Shorts though, right? All right. Bruce says that's accurate on the stinging feeling. Oh, it stings you. I didn't have it sting, but it definitely it has that kind of feeling. Anyway. All right. Bow ties, teas and shiny. Um yeah. Do we need farmers defense legs? Is that what you're saying, Steve? Oh my gosh. Adam says we had a heat wave this morning. It only got to mid 30s for our low. Oh, for your low. Okay. Um, yeah, that's why I was just saying before you guys came in. We have a heat wave. We're gonna get down into. We're supposed to get to 40 tonight. Let's see what it is right now. It's 38, so I don't think it's gonna get there. But it will probably freeze. I guess it would probably freeze tonight. Maybe get just above freezing tonight. Um, but I want to leave the taps in on the trees long enough to have that little, time. Hopefully get some more sap. Anyway, I do need to buy the pans still. I know which ones I want to get, but stainless steel pans for evaporating the sap outside. I just haven't gotten them yet. Okay. If you bury thick plastic around planting area, it won't root past the plastic. Works to limit bamboo spread. Careful on that, because Mythbusters did a. You remember Mythbusters? Mythbusters did a myth thing where it grew through a body, meaning they're made up gel stuff. So I don't know about that, but no, I'm not going to put plastic all over everything. Yeah. All right. Okay. Steve says I do that with my. Oh no. Bowtie says to Steve, I do that with my sunchokes, and it's successful because I grew sunchokes and I just separated it by like there was cement over here and the house was over here, and it seemed to work. But plastic works. Okay. Bowtie says, it makes you feel better. We had a high of 69 and a low of 59 today. I bet the iguanas are better. You have no more falling iguanas, right? How do you say that when you go to the doctor? You're like, well, I was hit in the head by an iguana. Oh my goodness. Howie's checking in. All right. Verna says, if anyone wants purple sweet potato slips, hit me up. Awesome. I am not ready for them. And that would be a long ways for them to travel. Actually, you can pot them up, but that'd be a long ways for them to travel. But that sounds awesome. How many slips did you get off that one sweet potato? All right. Thank you, Bowtie. He says, I posted a link to this live at the very end of Enix after the show ended. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, Adam says, this is for comfrey. Anytime from now to when our heat switch is turned on works for comfrey. Okay. I'm going down partway to you on Oregon's birthday. Saturday. Yeah. Oh, Howie's saying good night. Good night, Earthlings. This was fun. I try and make it fun. It's just talking about what's going on. Well, thanks for coming in and have a good night. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited now. And like literally this just happened today is when the tree guy came and we kind of set an about time of when things might dry up in a typical year. So it's all based on that, right? So that gave me a really good confidence though about timing of these other things. And I already have a list in my head. I don't think I've actually written it out. I have part of it written out, but I have a list of plants that I want to get for the food forest. And the thing is, I have a list somewhere. Where did I put it? I started a list somewhere. So something that I want to make sure I include is nitrogen plants. What are they called? Um, nitrogen fixation plants. Nitrogen fixing plants. Sorry, I for my work we have nitrogen deposition fee. Deposition was in my head. So anyway, so the plants that bring the nitrogen out of the air and into the soil, I want to have a variety of those, and hopefully that they provide food or some other medicinal or something uh, for that. So that's something that I want to do. I also want to look at things that are medicinal. So, like, I recently changed to a shampoo that uses soap nut, and I found out that there are varieties that will grow here. How awesome would it be to grow your own shampoo, guys? Your own soap, your laundry detergent. Like, people use it for a lot of that. I need a list of where my lists are. Steve, can you keep that for me? It's like when we do the Cook With Me live, I put down things and I'm like, PJ, where'd I put? And she always knows. Yeah. So stuff like that. And then also you always want to include things that are flowering to bring in the bees. Now I will have bees here, and hopefully attract bees from other places too. But I things that will attract native pollinators as well as just honeybees. And so putting in a lot of flowering plants that they like is a good thing. And what I learned since the time that I had my edible landscaping food forest at my old place, which was urban, is that the amount of plants that provide you the food is really the minority of the plants that you plant in a food forest. If you're going to have a successful food forest, um, including the flowers. Yeah, they can be edible. They don't have to be. Including the flowers, including things that bloom year round. So not that one plant blooms year round, but blooms that happen year round. Including, you know, different layers, herbaceous layers, including plants that you might use for some purpose at some time, but hardly ever, right? So there might be some medicinal thing that you know this plant does, and you might never use it, but it's handy if you need it. And then also things that are more vegetation food. So plants that you grow that aren't necessarily fruiting, because I'm not a frutivore. I love fruit, but it's not something I should live off of. The other part of this is I need this plot of land to actually make me money as well, because I am going to change it over from timber into farm, and there is a set amount of money it has to make in 3 out of 5 years. It has to make a certain amount of money. And so I am going to be thinking through how that can happen. I can use part of that as nursery. I was going to do that over here, but I might want to do it over here because because it counts towards that land. Over here being the garden, over there being the food forest. And so I might use it for that. Some of it, I have always planned to have um, a aviary with male grow outs for quail there. I believe it will be far enough away from the main quail area, which doesn't exist right now, that hopefully they won't crow their heads off like they can. Um, and I can keep it darker than where the ladies are, so that should keep their hormone level low. And so, but they will, um, that's going to be in that area. So that will, have some meat output there that I can sell. So things that are sellable, not just things that I want. Of course, I don't want to plant something terrible that I, will never eat. I could, if it has the right profit, then I can. But I want to really be thoughtful about what I'm planting and what value it has, not just to me, but for a sellable object or sellable food. Um, I was thinking, this is something I used to do at my old property. I haven't here because I don't have really many herbs right now. But sometimes I would do, like, if I go to some place for dinner, I will bring a vase with herbs, and that is my floral arrangement that I bring, and it's all edible. And it's always the talk of the talk of the party, and it's always, something that people enjoy. And so I'm thinking about providing that as something that someone could subscribe to, is, a vase of flowers, and maybe you get a discount if you return the vase or whatever. Um, and that would be fun because it's nice to have that on your kitchen windowsill or something, so that you're cooking, you're like, oh, here's some fresh whatever. Oh, I really don't want to go out to the garden right now, but it's 10 o'clock at night and it's dark and I don't really want to go out there. Oh, but I have these herbs that I collected earlier, or that someone bought earlier from me. So that's something that I can do. Um, um, those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about doing, and I don't know yet how wide that reach might be. But things like a weekly herb arrangement subscription or something. I don't know how much to charge for any of this, but it doesn't exist right now. But those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about. How do I use a space in a way that's profitable, but good for me, but also profitable, because that is a condition of the tax break of farm. So anyway, I'll have a video at some time here in the next few weeks talking about the like everything you have to go through. Basically, I'll be switching timber to farm, and everything there. So I'll be talking about that. I do have a playlist called Pacific Northwest Food Forest, and I don't know if you guys have seen that. I haven't posted anything to that playlist in a very long time because I was kind of on hiatus trying to figure out about these trees. I was very disheartened by the first person who came out last year, and he just is like, "Yeah, we'll clean up all this stuff. We'll get all this stuff out of there." I'm like, "You're not understanding what I'm trying to do." So anyway, all right, let's see what people said. Berna says it will produce slips until you plant the actual potato that you are generating slips from. I thought you ate the potato that generated slips from. That's what I thought. I thought they were done. How many have you gotten so far? Bowtie says it's got to eventually use up all its stored energy, doesn't it? Well, yeah, but then it also grows roots, and when it grows roots, it'll do more. So, like, Bowtie, have you planted sweet potato? Because you will never. It's like planting potatoes. You will never collect all the potatoes that you plant. You will always have, volunteer sweet potatoes or volunteer potatoes. It's just going to happen unless they rot. It's going to happen. You have sandy soil, so maybe not. But yeah, sweet potatoes can also root off of the vine. So the vine that goes along the ground can also root into the ground. So yeah. Verna says with roots they put out, it will put out until spring when I plant it to get potatoes from it. Okay, so that wasn't the one you ate, but it was the same kind. Wow, Bowtie says, yep. Sweet potatoes are good. And sweet potatoes, I mean, you can eat and your animals can eat the greens. I have a video of how I like to eat them. I haven't had them in a very long time, but I have a cooking video on how I like to eat them. Nitrogen fixing plants. Thank you, Verna. I don't know why I was struggling with that. It's because deposition was in my brain, because nitrogen deposition, there's a fee for nitrogen deposition on serpentine soil in some areas. That's probably more than you need to know at the end. Okay. Primarily from the Fabaceae legume family, convert atmospheric nitrogen into soil nutrients via symbiotic bacteria in their root nodules. And those nodules can get pretty big, visually big, and they're white. And so, like, if you plant fava beans, they say when it's halfway through blooming, or a third of the way through blooming, or 2/3. Somebody look at it. You can look it up. If you're growing fava beans, you can look it up. But when it gets through so much of the bloom, if you're not going for the bean and you're just going for a cover crop, that's when you cut it. Because when you cut it from the top, that's when the roots, nodules, the plant's cut, they can release that into the soil. So, and I don't remember I think it's halfway through blooming. Now, who knows what halfway through blooming is, right? I was like, seriously, that's your measure? How do I know what halfway? Are you halfway done? Are you halfway done being pretty? Yeah. Okay. Key examples include legumes, beans, peas, clover, alfalfa, peanuts, lupins, and shrubs, trees like alder. I didn't know alder was one of them. Autumn olive, which I highly recommend nobody plant. It is highly invasive. It was on my list at one point, and it's highly invasive, so don't plant that. And acacia, which can be invasive in certain places. Yeah, so there's more there. I mean, like ceanothus would be probably a good one here because it's a very similar habitat to where it's native down in California. There's a lot of similarities between like the Santa Cruz Mountains and here, minus some species plus some species. So yeah, and then but there's a lot of trees. So ceanothus is a tree. It doesn't have food value as far as I know. I don't know if it has medicinal value, but the flowers are tremendous and yummy smelling, and the bees love it. And so that would be something I would plant for the bees. While there's other things like honey locust is, I think we're too wet here, but I don't know that anybody's tried to plant honey locust in a wet area. I don't know, anybody know? Honey locust has these corkscrew seed pods. There's a desert plant. It's like desert plant. But they have these corkscrew seed pods that the natives would grind into flour, and it was a sweet flour. Pretty cool, you know? And I've eaten the pods, and they're sweet. But they're like the good for you sweet, right? So yeah, it's interesting. Bruce says plant your herbs closer to the house. I'm going to be planting throughout. So I'm definitely going to have like my areas where I plant things. But I am going to be planting throughout. And I'm not going to be doing the homogeneous things. I will probably have things like patches of asparagus, patches of this, patches of that, but I'm not going to put everything in one place. Because that's how you invite the predators of those plants, or the pests of those plants. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, I'm thinking about more about the shrubs. So there are some herbaceous stuff that you can plant. There's one near you, Bowtie. What is that called? Is it perennial peanut? But I don't know that it would live here. I think it would freeze. Am I right in that? Tell me. Tell me. Um, and that doesn't actually have like the peanuts that we're familiar with, but it does have some sort of food value. But it's mostly ground cover, nitrogen fixing ground cover. So anyway, so I'm interested in a lot of those things, but leaning on the side of plants that are also useful, either food or medicinally, and going from there. So, but yeah, planting the herbs close to the house. I will have my set herbs. Like, I'm not just going to have one sage plant, right? There's going to be other sage plants throughout the food forest, and it will serve for the purpose of having sage, but it also have serve for the purpose of, the flowers, if it ever flowers. My sage never flowered in Gilroy. I don't know why. It got to be huge. It was a little 4-inch one that got to be like probably 4 feet by 5 feet across. But yeah, that's something that is going to be in multiple places. There'll be other things in multiple places. I'm going to try some things that maybe don't belong at this zone. So like, I think it'd be pretty cool to plant pipicha, which is a Mexican herb. And I don't know what elevation that grows at in Mexico natively. So a lot of people think of Mexico as being cold, and yes, not cold, warm, and yes, it is. But they have mountains, they have snow, they have, you know, higher elevation stuff. So um, some stuff like that. Doing some interesting, different kind of herbs. Longevity spinach probably will do okay here as long as it's kind of underneath some trees. There's a Vietnamese coriander that would not, but it would do great in the tunnel where the quail will go because that won't freeze. So I'm gonna be thinking about that kind of stuff too. So lots of different. I have experience with lots of different herbs, and I enjoy lots of different herbs. Um, and there's some really good stuff. So yeah. All right. Adam asks, have you looked for morels on your property yet? They can be a natural gold mine. I have not seen morels. I have not specifically looked for mushrooms. I've found a bunch of mushrooms though. And what I lack is the knowledge. Morel is one that I know. Chanterelle is one that I know. I now know that we have white chanterelles. They're not the ones that I knew before were like orange. But now I know there's a white chanterelle looks exactly the same except for it's like whitish, it's like beige. And I know the identifying for that, but I don't know the identifiers for most of the mushrooms I see. And for a lot of plants, I'm willing to be like, oh, let me taste that. That was nasty. I'm not willing to do that with mushrooms. Mushrooms have a higher if you're wrong, it has a higher consequence uh, than if you're wrong with most plants. So, yeah, but I haven't seen them here, but I do know what they are. And I know people find them in this area. The chanterelles that my neighbor shared with me came from over by Crater Lake somewhere. But yeah, but I do want to, when I do this food forest and I cut down or have the Douglas firs cut down, I do want to um, have them. I do want to inoculate them with mushrooms that are edible, that are useful, not just mushrooms to have mushrooms, or I don't need the drug ones. um, but I figure I know you're supposed to inoculate them when it's somewhat fresh cut, and so I figure I should know what those are and have the spores or they have these little sticks you can drill and have that ready to inoculate them, and then inoculate them, fairly quickly. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes me to put up a fence around that area because I looked into that. Well, I looked into that with one company, not for that area, but for easier area, and it was like, nope, that's not happening. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so my adventure is adventuring and getting a little bit more exciting, a little bit more solid. I know Verna knows I've been like I haven't done much. I haven't done much because the things I want to get done haven't been getting done. So we're actually coming into a year where things are getting done. So that is the theme for the year is getting things done. Um oh, found out what was wrong with my solar. Part went bad. It was just a part that went, you know, and there are always some duds. So hopefully that's the only dud, and they're gonna replace it. Um, yeah, so things are happening. I am excited that they're happening, and I look forward to more things going the right direction. It seems like this last year was all like waiting and asking questions and waiting and trying to look that up and waiting and looking that over there and waiting and oh my gosh, I have to deal with this right now. So now I'm finally getting to the doing part, and the doing is better. So yeah, um, yeah. But morels are good. Um, what I know we have here, general speaking area, we have truffles in this region, and I don't know that I have any because I don't know that my trees are old enough or if the ground holds on to things until after, like, because my land was logged, right, 30 years ago. And so I don't know if so a truffle is a fungus that's underneath the ground and it blooms underneath the ground as far as I understand. Um, but the little critters dig for it to eat it. And um, yeah, it's just interesting to know that because we have the first time I heard that was it Amy or JJ? I think I haven't seen JJ in a while. Hope she's okay. I think it was Amy that was talking about um white truffles under pines. There's ones that have a relationship, I think, with Douglas fir, but I'm not quite sure. But I don't know after Douglas fir is cut down, their roots die. Don't know how long that takes to happen. And then the fungus that relies on that root or that has symbiotic with that root, I don't know what happens. I don't know if it has relationships and connections with multiple trees, so it doesn't matter, or it does matter because everything got cut down. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it very well. If you guys want to know the tea of the evening, this is from dried herbs from my old yard, hot and spicy oregano and English thyme. Yeah. Okay. I gotta go up because all the comments just came in, which is interesting. Oh my gosh, a whole bunch of comments just came in. Things came in a batch. Let me go up and see. Okay. Bruce is saying wine cap mushrooms. You can inoculate those. I did see that in a magazine in a catalog. Wine cap mushrooms are an easy mushroom to grow. Mine bloom a fruit twice a year, but they're in the soil, right? Are they under certain trees? No, they're not in the soil. They're in like wood chips or something. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that one again. Do they taste good? Do they taste like mushrooms? Awesome. You're gonna bring some with you where you go, right? Bowtie says my overwintered citronella plant pots are growing mushrooms. So not citronella, huh? Okay, yes, perennial peanut. It would freeze there. No nuts, but beautiful. Okay. Robin's here. Welcome, Robin. Hello from Chicagoland. Hello. Oh wow, so this just came in. These comments that were just there, like it was 10 minutes ago and they weren't coming in until just now. So if I'm late, maybe that's why. All right, welcome. Pochai says, hey, there comes another party seeker sauntering in. Hair a little askew. Oh, great. Oh my gosh. Everybody's saying hi. Botai says, I'm still awake, but crashing fast. Oh, it is late where you are. Adam says, I have orange chanterelles that pop up under my lilacs. It was a pleasant surprise. I lived with my grandma through my master's and for a few years after that when I was saving up for a house. And this one in Los Altos. And I've always seen these mushrooms. We saw them when we went for Christmas time sometimes to visit when I was little. And then like every year I saw these mushrooms and they're like that big. And they're chanterelles. And I didn't know that until last year I lived there. I made some wonderful cream of chanterelle soup and yummy stuff. So yeah, enjoy them. Chanterelle is one of the interesting ones that people haven't figured out how to inoculate things with. So the inoculation is with the tree's roots. In in this case, at my grandma's, it was underneath a couple big coast live oaks, and that is a it's an evergreen oak, and that's what it was underneath. And I tried, like, I got the edges off, and like, because I harvested them once I had my own place, but I got them and I like put the washing water and I like dug down to kind of where the roots were and near my yard because my neighbor had an oak tree, and I like sloshed the water in there. And it didn't work, but it'd be great if someone figured that out because those are really good mushrooms. And the orange ones are so much better than the white ones, so much better. Yeah. Did he eat them? I'm sure he did, Bowtie. Okay. Oh my gosh, Verna, I haven't even. Well, the solar people might have seen my video. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to them about that. Yeah, those that didn't see the video, we can review. Mama Kitty decided that the netting that is supposed to prevent animals from getting to the wires made a good hammock underneath the solar panel. So I'm going to have to ask them, like, is there a glue or is there like a Velcro? That's what I was thinking, Velcro strips underneath, and then on, like, sew it to the fabric and put it underneath and just, so that if we do need access, we can access. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that little girl. I pulled a tick off her. Was that today? That was this morning. This is the second tick I pulled off her in a couple days. So I think it's time to treat them. I don't treat them regularly for ticks, but I've had to pull one off of Ringo and I pulled two off of her. So I think I am going to have to do that. Let's see. The electrician's coming over tomorrow. So I have to separate them so they don't lick each other. So I think maybe after electrician leaves, I'll bring Ringo inside and he'll just be inside for a day. And he sneaks inside now. He'll be okay as long as he doesn't scratch up everything. But keep them separate so they don't lick the poison off each other. And then Mama Kitty will be lonely. I'm sorry, Mama Kitty. Anyway, yeah. Silly kitties. They love to climb. That's the thing. They love to climb. Yeah. Psychedelic orange waves. I don't think it's that kind of chanterelle. Oh my gosh. 2 naps for Robin. Oh my gosh. I almost had a nap. I almost fell asleep. If I did fall asleep, I wouldn't be here. I would be here. I would just be in the bedroom. Because I would have fallen asleep, I think. Adam harvests some every year. Awesome. Bowtie says, I dozed off briefly during our project this afternoon, but no nap to really speak of. Got 9 hours last night. It was awesome. How did you get 9 hours? That's impressive. That's the most impressive thing you said today. Verna says, Oregon white truffles, tuber oregonense. That's not a very creative name. Oregon black truffles, Lucangium. Luca means white. That's interesting. Carthusianum. And Oregon brown truffles are the primary edible truffles found under young to mature Douglas fir. Yep, in the Pacific Northwest. Bowtie says, I had ginger, turmeric, and pepper. And mint tea tonight. You have to add the pepper if you have the turmeric. You have to add the turmeric if you have the pepper. That's my rule. That sounds good. I added mint to my my concoction that I make. I think I already shared that with you, Bowtie. But I added mint. No, I didn't add mint. I added borax to that, and that was an interesting add. It was okay. It was just, it didn't really fit with the theme, but mint probably works. Add lemon to that, and you'll have it made. Steve says Pacific golden chanterelles, matsutake hedgehog mushrooms, which my neighbor keeps asking me if I'm seeing, and I'm not. He really likes them. And lobster mushrooms, like Douglas fir trees. Lobster mushrooms. Is that the one that we have up the hill? I'm just looking up. No. That's not it. Okay. Okay, the wine caps taste great. Grow mine in wood chips and straw. I'm going to have lots of wood chips coming up. All right. Steve says there are hundreds of other mushrooms, but mushroom knowledge is limited. Yeah, exactly. And so there is a book that people recommend, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember the guy's name, but it's All the Rain Brings and More, or All the Rain something and More. And it's all about mushrooms, and that guy's from the Pacific Northwest. And so I have a couple of his books. Where are they? Probably still packed. I don't have my bookshelves yet. I was going to make bookshelves. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Bote says there are panel guards you can put all around your panel to keep cats out from under them. I have raccoons under our panels. Panel guards? So I have like a ground mount system. Solar panel guards. Yeah, there's some for houses. This is a ground mount, so it makes it more difficult to critter guard. Makes it more difficult to install something that would protect that. All that the rain promises and more. There you go. A hip pocket guide to Western mushrooms by David Aurora. Yep, that's the one I'm talking about. Uh-oh, you heard a ka-thunk on the roof? Bowtie says, we went to Des Moines for the weekend. Wait, Iowa? Is that in Iowa? Is there a Florida Des Moines? Huge family reunion. Flew back. Okay. Yesterday morning, we were exhausted, napped all afternoon, and slept 9 hours. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah, if your panels are on the roof, that makes sense because it's just closing the gap between the panel and that. But yeah, this is different. Okay. Adam says, speaking of naps, I'm heading out 2:30 for a wake up. Is fast approaching. Night all. My goodness, have a good night. And I will follow up with you on the comfrey because that I know I'm going to want that. And if you're willing to part with some, and there you go. All right. Shawnee saying good night. Yes, Iowa. Okay. Okay. Everybody saying good night to Adam. Yeah. Yeah, Verna, I saw her doing that, and I was actually filming I was fixing the gate for the predator stuff for the gate. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing in there? And she was playing. So Ringo was down below and she was above, and they're like, da, 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 da. And it's like, this is not good. All right, Bowtie says, night sounds nice. I think I need to head that way myself. Mrs. Bowtie already asleep. Oh, well, thank you for joining and bringing the crew with you. And we will see you on, well, Sunday, if you're going to do the Cook With Me Live, hint, hint, join the channel. Or on Monday for the live chat. And before that is the Urban Gardener live chat, which I'll be in the chat of for that. And we're going to do the segment. My segment will be next Monday. So yeah. Yep. And Robin's saying good night to Adam. Okay. I thought everybody's saying good night. Almost 8. Yeah. So that'll be happening next week. Yep. But Sunday is flan, and it'll be fun. Bowtie, you're funny. Have a good night. Yeah, so I'll be looking for, kind of different varieties of things. I am zone 8B. It does snow here, it does freeze here. It only gets down to like supposedly 14 degrees is the record, which means probably colder than that actually physically here. But that is how cold it gets. It has a pretty good humidity. It's not Midwest humidity. You don't go outside and sweat, but it has good rain in the winter and a decent humidity. We get fog, so anything like peach leaf curl, I'm going to get peaches that are resistant to that. You're not going to get many that will be fully resistant. So you just kind of have to deal with if you have plants that have diseases that are spread by fog. So moisture in the air. Peach leaf curl is one of them. So that is something that we being me, I need to look up and be paying attention to when I get my plants. And I think that's the only thing I really need to pay attention to. Chill hours, I should be good on everything that I want to grow. But it is going to be, what diseases they may be susceptible to. So yeah. But it says, have a blessed day. Have a good night. Yeah. So yeah, I will be looking for all sorts of these kinds of plants, useful and edible. And if you guys have ideas on uh, how to produce funds from my food forest, things that I should be thinking about, that will be welcome. I do plan on, and I will see how this works. I don't really know how it's going to work. The area is always steeper than I think it is whenever I walk it. It is one of the least steep places on the property besides the pasture area, but it's more steep. But I would like to have ducks over in the area. It's going to be predator fenced. It does not prevent overhead predators, but it's going to be land predator fenced. And I would like to have ducks, and I'm kind of thinking about Muscovies. But I gotta think about these things. And with that, you can do, eggs and meat and stuff. I really want to make this a system that is ecology. It has all the parts of ecology. And with that, it's going to be a healthier system. I'm not going to do rabbits in the food forest. It's too steep to have those rabbit tractors. It is too steep and not smooth. So once the Douglas firs are out and I have the place fenced, I will then be kind of clearing and planting as I go. I'll leave some stuff and I will plant some stuff, and it will just kind of work as I go. That's my plan, at least. Muscovy are the bomb, Brenna says. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking, and I don't know, thinking can change. My opinion can change. I might find something else that I want to do with space, or grow something, or choose a different variety of something, and that's fine. But I do kind of have a plan. It is steeper than I would ideally like, but I know I should not terrace because my neighbor's property was terraced by the people before them, and they can't grow anything on it because it's literally just clay. It doesn't have any topsoil. It holds water, all of that. So, and because it's so close, I can assume the same thing might happen here. And so right now we have a forest that's growing. has lots of plants on it, lots of life on it. And it's something that I can take and say, okay, what's going on here? Okay, well, we have, um, this needs to come out, this needs to stay. But if I plant something here, it should grow. And I will be putting, water to these plants. The reason for planting in the fall is to get things established and get it through the winter so that the roots are established and it'll be a better, healthier plant. But you guys know me, I can plant year round, right? Bruce says, will you be getting a tractor excavator to make the swales of berms on hills? No, and I'm not going to. I'm actually thinking of not doing swales and berms. And the reason I will do like wells on the downhill side, I think. But the reason is I don't want to, it kind of goes along with terracing. And what's living here right now is getting good water. I think by doing just like a well around, not a well like water well, but well like a wood chip well or a soil and wood chip well, that should hold enough excess water, without flooding to make that happen. The area this is in doesn't run off. So like even last year when we had a bunch of water, it it soaked in. It didn't run off. And so I know that it has good, permeability. So if it has good permeability, the water is going into the earth, and I don't want to necessarily direct it elsewhere or hold on to it in a certain way. It's already going into the earth. Um, my understanding is for the swales or berms, you are directing water that's excess water coming off of a landscape to slow down and fill and filter in particular place. And I don't think we have that here. I mean, I could direct water in a way, I suppose, but I don't think we have that here. What I'm going to have to look at mostly is because it is on a hillside, and it's not a shallow hill. I mean, it's a fairly steep hill. Um, is I'm going to have to look at accessibility in the long term. So whether that means building up areas in between the rows to kind of make a level thing that you can bring a cart on, or something like that, that would be more likely. Um, trying to even out the land that way with like wood chips instead of like actually evening out the land. Um, I have lots of thoughts, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be experimental. And I don't think I'm going to end up doing the berms and swales, because I don't need to slow down any water. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't, let me know. I might be thinking wrong. Yeah. Um, I'm open to suggestions for sure. I've not done this before. I've just read a lot about it and seen a lot of experiences, seen a lot of things. And actually most of my researching of that kind of thing was when I thought I was going to live in a less, wet area. And so it makes sense to do that in a less wet area. Whereas here, I don't think we need that. Um, we don't need extra water to soak in particular place, I don't think. Besides just having like a wheel, like a tree well. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on if that makes sense or if something else makes sense, because again, this is my first time doing this. Verna says, blessings all, time to take Lucy out, then call it a night. It is after 8. Yeah. Well, everybody's fed except for the breeder bunnies. So I have to do that still tonight. Yeah. All right. Let me know, Bruce, if that made sense or if something else, if it sounds off, if what I'm thinking is not appropriate. Because I mean, I'm willing to change what I'm doing, what the way I'm thinking, but that's the direction I'm thinking in right now, and it may or may not be correct. Something that I've learned is everybody's, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So Bruce says everyone's properties are unique. And I was just going to say everybody's situation is unique. So the land is unique, the way the water falls is unique. Even within this area, like that area, the water filtrates in, whereas over here behind, like behind the shed here, like there's the chicken coop and then there's a shed. You guys hardly ever see it, I think. But right there, right next to that, there's a whole bunch of like plants that are, they enjoy the wet feet. So I know the water table comes up there because it did last year. So the water table is closer to the surface there. And so that's where you'd be like, oh, there's too much water here. Let me do something with it. Whereas the other direction is, oh, I don't have enough water. Let me catch water and put it here. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Um, and if it didn't, it didn't. But let me know. I definitely want to try and do this the right way, and especially since it's actually like on the horizon of happening. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna call it a night so I can go feed my breeder bunnies and go from there. I gave Penne and Risotto their nest boxes way, way, way early. They were supposed to get them this coming weekend. So I'm going to leave them there for, hopefully they don't become a bathroom. I'll leave them in there, and if that happens, I'll take it out. But they should be having bunnies next week, not this week. All right. Bruce says microclimates in a neighborhood can also pose problems and opportunities that make what and how you grow be different than your neighbor. Absolutely. At my old place, front yard versus backyard. Yep. Front yard versus backyard. I had saffron in the front yard and saffron in the backyard, and they had about a week of overlap of when they bloom, but the front would bloom first, and then the back one would bloom, and it was like that every year. So something just that close it can make a difference. So yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And if you are a Katrina's Kit, if you're a member of the channel, we will see you on Sunday. I'm gonna go feed bunnies and then come back here and typey. That should be up soon. And then if you're not a member and you want to become a member, there is a join button down below, or there's a link in the description of all the videos, and you can join us. And we are going to not drop my mouse. We are going to hold on. Just highlighted everything. Okay, we are going to make flan on Sunday. So good night, everyone. Bruce says nighters, and Robin says good night, everyone. All right, good night, everybody, and we will see you soon. Enjoy.